sidewalk, dude. It's not illegal to walk down the sidewalk. I am walking down the sidewalk.
You can stay right here if you want.
I'm walking that way to the store.
You've
Yes
been
or
warned
no?
multiple times. It's your choice.
Can I walk down? So you're making me stand right here. No, that's not how this works, man. Call your supervisor. Call your supervisor.
The review found what authors called a concerning pattern of use of force, that officers are often aggressive from the initiation of a call, and that the behavior was tolerated in many cases by command staff. And reviews often found actions were authorized.
No, that's not how this works, man. Call your supervisor. Call your supervisor.
We are talking tactical errors, failure to de-escalate situations, even using unauthorized force. That is what a critical expert review of the Fort Worth Police Department is now uncovering.
An expert review panel looking at hundreds of cases found the culture in the department isn't changing.
The culture in the department isn't changing.
Yeah, no Sherlock.
On October 3rd, 2022, Manuel Mata spotted a traffic stop in Fort Worth, Texas, and started approaching to record the police interaction, as is his First Amendment right. Recently, Fort Worth Police Department has become way more brazen about violating people's rights to record them, which can be seen on channels like Carolina and Fort Worth, Harvey Freebird, Cody High Roller, and on Manuel Mata's channel. There are very specific reasons for this bad behavior, which has been pointed out not just by myself and cop watchers, but also by independent investigators who have looked into this department over the last 3 years. But we'll go over that after we watch this video of one of the most brazen, blatant, intentional rights violations I've seen in a very long time.
Back to that sign. You're welcome.
Call your supervisor, Bengal.
Sir.
Call your supervisor.
This is the second time.
There's no law that says that.
Back there, it's reasonable space. You
No,
have to
is
move
no
back there.
such thing as a reasonable
Do
space.
not move beyond
Put up
this.
crime scene tape then.
No, I don't have to.
I can walk down the sidewalk, dude. It's not illegal to walk down the
You can walk
sidewalk.
down the sidewalk, but you are not allowed to interfere.
I am walking down the sidewalk.
You can stay right here if you want.
I'm walking that way to the store. The are you talking about?
Sir, you cannot move past.
I can walk down the sidewalk. Is it true or not?
You cannot.
Is it true or not? Can I walk down the public sidewalk?
You've been
Yes or
warned
no?
multiple times. It's your choice.
Can
What
I
happens next.
walk down? So you're making me stand right here.
Yes, for the investigation.
Your investigation. How about that? So you're telling me I can't walk down that way?
Yes.
Okay. Can I or not?
Come on, turn around. Put your hands behind your back.
No, that's not how this works, man. Call your supervisor.
Turn around. Put your
Call
hands
your
behind your back.
supervisor.
Turn around. Put your hands
You
behind
I'm going to talk about some things that are blatantly obvious here to my regular viewers, but bear with me while I point these things out anyways. There are people here who are new. Manuel Mata is on a public sidewalk that is not currently closed to the public, and he has every right to walk up and down the sidewalk or even stand in one place on the sidewalk as he sees fit. Never in my life have I seen an entire city block quarantined off for a traffic stop. Notice also that there are cars driving by on the street. This street is not closed to the general public. It is only closed to Manuel Mata. I can absolutely, positively, 100% guarantee you that if anyone else had been walking down this sidewalk, they would have been allowed to walk right past that traffic stop without the officers doing or saying anything to them. Notice also the apartments to the right. If this were an actual quarantine crime scene, then either the people in the apartments would have been evacuated or would have been told that they are locked down and not to come out of their apartments until the investigation is complete. Now, we know they wouldn't do this. One, because the people inside the apartments aren't trying to record the police activity, which is really what the cops have a problem with here. But besides that, any reasonable person understands that it would be ridiculous to lock down this entire city block because they're giving somebody a traffic citation. The rules about recording in public are that if you can legally be there, you can legally record there. This public sidewalk is absolutely legally and lawfully open to the general public to walk up and down it and even stand in place on it. Manuel even told him if it's quarantined off to put up crime scene tape, but there's a reason there wasn't tape before he got there. Because there's no rational reason to quarantine this off. The goal is clearly not to prevent the general public from passing through this area. It is only to prevent Manuel Mata from recording. And last but not least, notice how insanely far out of his way this officer went to violate Manuel Mata's right to record the police. In Arizona, even when they tried to create legislation about how far away from the police you have to be while you're recording, they determined and put into legislation that 8 feet from a police officer was a reasonable distance to record them from. This number was a determination that was made by police and police supporters. Even they claimed that 8 feet was a reasonable distance, but this officer wandered at least 150 feet away from his traffic stop to arrest someone for recording. And look, I understand the argument that some people will make. Why does Manuel Mata take time out of his day to go and record the police when all they're doing is their job? I mean, I could understand if they were doing something wrong, but it doesn't look like they are here. So why? The problem is these guys usually aren't doing something wrong until they are doing something wrong. And if you weren't already recording, then you missed it. And since you didn't catch it on your own camera, you get to spend the next few years telling everyone what the police did to you, having nobody believe you, and having the police refuse to release the body cam footage. And it's not like misconduct by Fort Worth police officers is uncommon, but most people don't believe it unless they actually see it for themselves, which is definitely fair. But we can't catch their misconduct as much as we need to because, as you can see here, they won't allow people to record them. And if we were allowed to record, we'd be able to uncover in a matter of weeks what it took 3 years for an independent investigator to uncover about the Fort Worth Police Department.
We are talking tactical errors, failure to de-escalate situations, even using unauthorized force. That is what a critical expert review of the Fort Worth Police Department is now uncovering.
Fort Worth has been waiting almost 3 years for this deep review of its police department, something that the city asked for after an officer shot at Tatiana Jefferson in 2019. Although police officers in Fort Worth are trained to try to avoid using force, an expert review panel looking at hundreds of cases found the culture in the department isn't changing. The culture in the department isn't changing.
Well, no shit.
The culture in the department isn't changing.
No shit.
The culture in the department isn't changing. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock.
I cannot stand what we see. It's alarming in some cases.
The review found what authors called a concerning pattern of use of force, that officers are often aggressive from the initiation of a call, and that the behavior was tolerated in many cases by command staff. Examples included a woman going for a mental health evaluation where, after having tased her border collie, the officer chased her in her own backyard and tased her, despite the fact she posed a threat to no one. In another case, an officer tased a subject sitting on the curb when he moved too slowly to remove his backpack, which prompted him to attack the officer, resulting in the officer shooting the subject. And reviews often found actions were authorized,
but didn't account for the moments leading up to the point when force was actually used. And quite often, it's during those moments an officer has an opportunity to make decisions that will de-escalate and therefore result in not a need to use higher amounts of force.
So I talked with YouTube cop watcher Carolina about her experiences with watching and recording Fort Worth police in a failed attempt to keep them accountable, and or possibly use the camera to deter bad behavior from even occurring. Carolina has worked with the man Manuel Mata, seen arrested on the public sidewalk in this video. She's also been attempting to keep Fort Worth police accountable since long before this 3-year-long private investigation of the department was done. Sadly, for the most part, her efforts have only resulted in retaliation from the department in the form of false arrests and retaliatory charges. A report was released on September 6th, sometime in September, showing that there's a, quote, concerning pattern of use of force by Fort Worth police. You're aware of that, right?
Imagine that. Yeah, I'm aware of that. Yeah, they announced it at the city council meeting.
Okay, and they even went into detail at the city council meeting, right?
Oh, they went into detail, of course. Yes, they did.
So it took them 3 years to do this investigation, right?
It took 3 years, ever since the death of Tatiana Jefferson, yes.
But you and who else has been out there recording in Fort Worth?
We have 3 of us. Well, we have 4 of us, basically. We have Cody High Roller, we have Harvey Freebird, and Manuel Mata, who was brand new on the scene.
From what I've seen, they regularly violate your right to record, push you back so far that you can't see anything, and even
correct.
arrest
That's
you.
Right. That's right. Yeah, we've all been arrested by Fort Worth, all of us.
And just for recording,
and basically for interference, and that's basically it came back to because we were filming.
Okay, so they call it interference when you are filming, even though you're not in their way, because I've seen them personally.
Correct, yeah. That's exactly right.
Okay, if you were allowed to consistently record them from a reasonable distance, let's say, for example, in Arizona, they made that law, which even in itself was ruled unconstitutional, that you had to be at least 8 feet away from a police officer while recording them.
Wow, 8 feet.
8 feet. So even
I wish I could be 8 feet away from them.
Exactly. So even police officers and police supporters, when they were trying to draw up this legislation that where we're going to draw the line, said 8 feet is the line. That's what's reasonable to record a cop from. And even that was overturned by a judge and said, no, that violates the Constitution.
Wow.
But let's just say you were able to record from, we'll say 10 feet away all the time on just about any scene. I'm sure there's extenuating circumstances, maybe an active shooter.
Oh, yeah.
But they're so rare. So in general, if you were allowed to record from 8 to 10 feet away, do you think that you could have completed that 3-year investigation in less than 3 years?
Oh, of course we could have. You see, we have this gentleman named Thomas. He was daily, not daily, at every single council meeting, he was talking about the brutality of the police here. So they knew about it. And then when Manuel Mata came on the scene, he introduced Manuel Mata to the city council, and they started talking about the videos, all the videos that we have. And they were aware of it. And they were aware of it way before the report came out. We were never interviewed by the reporters, but they were aware of it.
Okay. So it's not like it's a secret. It's not a secret to the city council.
And it's sort of like a secret that nobody wants to talk about. In other words, they don't want any more brutality coming to them, so they don't want to talk about it.
Okay, but they also don't seem to want to fix it.
They don't want retaliation.
So the city is spending millions of dollars to be told that their police department is absolutely, completely, and totally out of control. Here's the problem. They're not doing a goddamn thing about it. This arrest on a public sidewalk for trying to record a traffic stop from 150 feet away happened a month after this report was released. The rest of us didn't need a 3-year $1 million report to tell you officers like this are fucked up from top to bottom in your department. Stop pretending to do something about it and instead actually do something about it. You can start with getting rid of this piece of shit. After that, get rid of his supervisors that condone this type of activity. This continues to happen on a daily basis because mayor and council have sent a clear message to the police department. You can do this type of thing whenever you want, and you can get away with it. As of today, almost a week later, Manuel Mata is still in Tarrant County Jail for recording the police on a public sidewalk. Contact information for the city council, the mayor, and the police department is in the description below. It took a 3-year study for you to figure out your department was fucked up when the entire rest of the world already knew it. We don't have 3 years for you to fire this officer. Do it now.